Alright, hello. It's the third week of Great Lent on Friday. The readings today are Isaiah 13:2 through 13, Genesis 8:4 through 21, and Proverbs 10:31 through 11:2. Isaiah 13:1. The burden against Babylon which Isaiah the son of Amoz saw, quote, "Lift up a banner on the high mountain, raise your voice to them, wave your hand, that they may enter the gates of the nobles. I have commanded my sanctified ones. I have also called the mighty ones for my anger, those who rejoice in my exaltation." End quote. The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like that of many people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord of hosts musters the army for battle. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord and his weapons of indignation, to destroy the whole land. Wail, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It will come as destruction from the Almighty. Therefore all hands will be limp, every man's heart will melt, and they will be afraid. Pangs and sorrows will take hold of them. They will be in pain as a woman in childbirth. They will be amazed at one another. Their faces will be like flames. Behold, the day of the Lord comes, cruel with both wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate. He will destroy its sinners from it. For the stars of heaven and their constellations will not give their light. The sun will be darkened in its going forth, and the moon will not cause its light to shine. Quote, I will punish the world for its evil and the wicked for their iniquity. I will halt the arrogance of the proud and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. I will make a mortal more rare than fine gold, a man more than the golden wedge of Ophir. Therefore I will shake the heavens, and the earth will move out of her place in the wrath of the Lord of hosts and in the day of his fierce anger. End quote. The burden against Babylon. The carrying away into Babylon took place of old by Jeconias, who was not permitted to reign in the nation of the Jews, as a type of Christ, whom the Jews would not have reign over them. Israel passed over to the Gentiles, that is, the preachers of the gospel passed over to the people of the Gentiles. What marvel then that Jeconias is reckoned twice? For if he were a figure of Christ passing over from the Jews unto the Gentiles, consider only what Christ is between the Jews and the Gentiles. Is he not that cornerstone? In a cornerstone you see the end of one wall and the beginning of another. Up to that stone you measure one wall and another from it. Therefore the cornerstone which connects both walls is reckoned twice. Jeconias, then, as prefiguring the Lord, was, as it were, a type of the cornerstone. And as Jeconias was not permitted to reign over the Jews, but they went to Babylon, so Christ, the stone which the builders rejected, is made the head of the corner, that the gospel might reach the Gentiles. St. Augustine of Hippo, Sermons on New Testament Lessons 15, Book 17, Volume 6, FS, page 250. Genesis 8:4. Then the ark rested in the 7th month, the 17th day of the month, on the mountains of Ararat. And the waters decreased continually until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the 1st day of the month, the tops of the mountains were seen. So it came to pass at the end of 40 days that Noah opened the window of the ark, which he had made. Then he sent out a raven which kept going to and fro until the waters had dried up from the earth. He also sent out from himself a dove to see if the waters had abated from the face of the ground. But the dove found no resting place for the sole of her foot. So she returned into the ark to him. The waters were on the face of the whole earth. So he put out his hand and took her and drew her into the ark to himself. And he waited yet another 7 days, and again he sent the dove out from the ark. Then the dove came to him in the evening, and behold, a freshly plucked olive leaf was in her mouth. And Noah knew that the waters had abated from the earth. So he waited yet another 7 days, and sent out the dove, which did not return again to him any more. And it came to pass in the 601st year, in the first month, the first day of the month, that the waters were dried up from the earth. And Noah removed the covering of the ark, and looked, and indeed the surface of the ground was dry. And in the second month, on the 27th day of the month, the earth was dried. Then God spoke to Noah, saying, Go out of the ark, you and your wife, and your sons wives with you. Bring out with you every living thing of all flesh that is with you, birds and cattle and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth, so that they may abound on the earth, and be fruitful and multiply on the earth. So Noah went out, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him. Every beast, every creepy thing, every bird, and whatever creeps on the earth, according to their families, went out of the ark. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and took of every clean animal and every clean bird, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And the Lord smelled a soothing aroma. And the Lord said in his heart, I will never again curse the ground for man's sake, although the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Nor will I again destroy every living thing as I have done. Then God spoke to Noah, saying, Go forth from the ark. Under conscience as in innocency, man utterly failed. Humanity is now subjected to a new test, human government, the government of man by man. According to biblical scholars, man is now responsible to govern the world for God. C.I. Scofield, D.D., Notes on Genesis 8:21, book number 5. It's a non-orthodox book. Proverbs 10:31. The mouth of the righteous brings forth wisdom, but the perverse tongue will be cut out. The lips of the righteous know what is acceptable, but the mouth of the wicked what is perverse. Proverbs 11. False balance is an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. When pride comes, then comes shame, but with the humble is wisdom. The integrity of the upright will guide them, but the perversity of the unfaithful will destroy them. Riches do not profit in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivers from death. The righteousness of the blameless will direct his way aright, but the wicked will fall by his own wickedness. The righteousness of the upright will deliver them, but the unfaithful will be taken by their own lust. When a wicked man dies, his expectation will perish, and the hope of the unjust perishes. The righteous is delivered from trouble, and it comes to the wicked instead. The hypocrite with his mouth destroys his neighbor, but through knowledge the righteous will be delivered. When it goes well with the righteous, the city rejoices, and when the wicked perish, there is shouting. By the blessing of the upright, the city is exalted, but it is overthrown by the mouth of the wicked. He who is devoid of wisdom despises his neighbor, but a man of understanding holds his peace. I love the Proverbs. They still apply today, every bit of it. I love the Psalms too. When the wicked man dies, his expectation will perish. A man's life, as he says, is not from his possessions, by reason of his having a superfluity, and this is plainly true. For the duration of a man's life is not extended in proportion to his wealth, nor does the sum of his life run parallel with that of his wicked gains. St. Cyril of Alexandria, Commentary on the Gospel of St. Luke, Luke 12:19, Homily 89, book number 42, page 361. It's a very true statement and observation. If you look at the very wealthy in the world, the wealthiest, the smartest, the most successful, I do not see that they're any happier than I am, or my next door neighbors, or anybody else. They, in a lot of cases, from what I see and hear and can imagine being in their position, yeah, they have a lot of creature comforts and they have everything that could want for the most part. Maybe not everything, but most things. But it just does not seem like a happy existence. It would be very, very, very. You'd be a slave to your possessions. You would be crushed under the weight of the responsibility. How many people are looking to you to have all the answers, and that's not how it's supposed to be. Excuse me. We're supposed to rely on God for all that. You know, if they were the rich and the wealthy would imitate the saints of the old who were rich and wealthy, the kings and like King Solomon and King David and other kings of later times, and put God first and referred to Him in all of their choices and their actions and what they were going to do to lead the people, it would be different. But as it is now, they claim responsibility, power, and success for themselves, as if they did it for themselves. And it puts them in a bad spot. I empathize with them. I feel for them. I do not envy them. And quite honestly, the home I live in, I can't complain. I mean, and most people, and most of the places I've lived, even apartments and studio apartments and whatnot, growing up, was a lot more comfortable than ancient man. And I can't complain. We're spoiled. I'm spoiled. You know, I think my children are spoiled, but I'm really spoiled too. So I'm much weaker than my ancestors, that's for sure. Food for thought. Just rambling. I'm sorry, I'm tired. I need to go to bed. I love you. Pray for me, a sinner. God bless. Over and out.